Science!
Welcome to Science this week, everybody. First up, let's talk about black holes. Black holes are incredibly hard to wrap your brain around. They basically warp the fabric of space and time to a point where no light can escape them. So, as I said, it's kind of difficult to even imagine what exactly a black hole is. We've all heard about how they light up as they feed on energy and stars and stuff, and how some of them are surrounded by this like clumpy donut of matter. But still, we really don't have a good handle on it up until very, very recently. In fact, the first ever description of a black hole was in 1916 by Carl Schwarzschild, and that was just figuring out Einstein's general theory of relativity and kind of postulating what that would be as a black hole. It wasn't until 1958 when David Finkelstein actually came up with the idea of something that nothing can escape from. No light can escape from a black hole. And that was what fueled every iteration since in science fiction and everything we had up until very, very recently actually being able to document these things. Now, NASA has just came out with a brand new visualization of the black hole, which illustrates how its gravity distorts our view, warping its surroundings as if seen in a carnival mirror almost. The visualization simulates the appearance of a black hole where the infalling matter has collected into a thin, hot structure called an accretion disk. The black hole extremes gravity skews light emitted by different regions of the disk, producing the misshapen appearance. Bright knots constantly form and dissipate in the disk as magnetic fields wind and twist through the churning gas, as you're seeing in this representation, basically, that NASA has put together. Nearest the black hole, the gas orbits at close to the speed of light, while the outer portions spin a bit more slowly. Now, actually, this means that because we've observed the way that light and time work at a black hole, if you could skim the outer rim of a black hole and survive, you technically would be time traveling, because you would be able to be a few seconds either before or behind the point of reference that you want to be, which is also mind-bending and maddening. And this image from NASA actually breaks it down even farther, starting in the center there with the black hole shadow, which is roughly twice the size of the event horizon, which is the black hole's point of no return. This is formed by all of the gravitational lensing and capturing of the light rays. And then a little bit outer from that is the photon ring, that first ring of light. And it's composed of multiple distorted images of the disk. The light making up these images has orbited the black hole 2, 3, or maybe even more times before escaping to us. They become thinner and fainter closer to the black hole. Then above that is the Doppler beaming. Light from glowing gas in the accretion disk is brighter on the side where the material is moving toward us, and then fainter on the side when it's moving away from us, like we were describing before. And then if you see on the underside, light rays from beneath the far side of the disk are gravitationally lensed to produce this part of the image. And then the image of the disk's far side is the gravitational field alters the path of light from the far side of the disk to produce that image. And then that accretion disk, the outer ring there, is the hot, thin, rotating disk formed by matter slowly spiraling towards the black hole, which is crazy. Now, again, closest to that black hole is that gravitational light bending that becomes so excessive we can see the underside of the disk as that bright ring of light. This, as they called it, that photon ring, is actually comprised of multiple rings, which grow fainter and fainter and thinner as they circle the black hole and get closer. And that's what's so amazing about this, is that we're just learning this stuff. We're just learning this. The photon ring looks nearly circular and identical from any viewing angle because of the way we're visualizing this in a sphere. What's really important about all of this is the fact that there's vindication for a lot of science fiction now. In fact, one of my favorite movies to come out in the last decade, let's say, about space is the movie Interstellar. And if you missed Christopher Nolan's love letter to space, basically, it was quite the roller coaster of a movie. Now, regardless of the twists and turns that the plot makes in this movie, one of the things it was lauded for was its depiction of space, because Matthew McConaughey's character goes to regions of space we can only theorize. We've never been there. Obviously, we've never seen them. So they did a lot of, Hollywood trickery to make us feel like we're in other worlds and in other parts of the universe. Yet what's incredible is the film actually resulted in publishing a real physics paper that appeared in scientific journals. And now that you've seen this actual image that NASA's created depicting what we now know to be the way a black hole and this type of celestial body works in the universe, I can show you a little bit from the movie Interstellar and just how much they got it right. I mean, look at this. It looks almost identical to what we're seeing from NASA in these few scenes. And that's what's so cool is when, Hollywood does their homework. That's why sometimes movies are really, really awesome. Jeremy Shintman, who generated these gorgeous images using custom software at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, said, "Simulations in movies like these really help us visualize what Einstein meant when he said that gravity warps the fabric of space and time. Until very recently, these visualizations were limited to our imagination and computer programs. I never thought that it would be possible to see a real black hole." Now, if you remember, and we talked about it on this very show, back in April of this year, the Event Horizon Telescope team actually released the first ever image of a black hole, actually its shadow, using radio observations at the heart of galaxy M87. Now, TESS, the satellite that is out there scanning the sky for exoplanets and new worlds, has found something else out about black holes very, very recently, just this year as well. Now, TESS is scanning a area in the sky that is 400 times larger than Kepler ever observed, using and including 200,000 of that patch of sky's brightest stars. Over the course of the next 2 years, TESS is going to take all of its cameras on board into different sectors of the sky to really map out as much of the universe as we've ever done. And as part of that mission, for the very first time, TESS stumbled upon a star being shredded to bits by a supermassive black hole. The black hole responsible for this event likely weighs about 6 million times the mass of our sun. That is incredibly giant. And it's positioned at the center of a faraway galaxy located 375 million light years away in the constellation Volans. Now, the star that it's eating was probably the size of our sun. And when stars wander too close to a black hole, they can't escape the black hole's gravity and get pulled apart. Some of the material is then shot out into space, and the rest makes for quite the meal for the black hole, which pulls the material into its accretion disk made of gas. This entire event is called a TDE, or a tidal disruption event. These events are so rare. They only happen about every 10,000 to 100,000 years in galaxies as large as our own Milky Way and larger. And observing them is extremely difficult, but NASA talks a little bit more about that in this video from Goddard right here.
On January 21st, 2019, for the very first time, NASA's TESS saw a black hole destroy a star. This was a tidal disruption event, which occurs when a star passes too close to a black hole. Extreme gravity causes the star to bulge and break apart into a stream of gas. The tail of the stream escapes into space, but the rest swings around to form an accretion disk. This event, called Assassin 19BT for the All-Sky Automated Survey for Supernovae, which first identified it, happened in the TESS Continuous Viewing Zone. TESS's 4 cameras scan large sectors of the sky, and one constantly monitored this region for a full year. TESS saw Assassin 19BT as soon as it started to brighten, days before other observatories spotted it. NASA's SWIFT satellite quickly observed the outburst in visible light, UV, and, along with the European XMM Newton satellite, X-rays. The UV measurements are the earliest recorded for a tidal disruption to date. They showed the event's temperature dropped almost 50% in just a few days. Such a steep decrease has never been seen in a tidal disruption before. These outbursts are rare, happening only once every 10,000 to 100,000 years in a galaxy like our own. Future discoveries will help us learn even more about these uncommon cosmic blasts.
The more we learn about black holes, the more we learn about the universe itself, because that is one of the most elusive things out there that we know exists. We just don't know enough about it, but we're learning more all the time, thanks to all of the efforts in space and space exploration. But let's go back to Earth. And there's something I want to talk about that I just found. It's been out for a while now, but I'm really, really excited about this, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I love marine life. I used to, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a marine biologist. I love seals and turtles and sharks and dolphins and whales and all that kind of stuff. And recently, a buddy of mine was saying, we live in a world now where we tag these animals with like radio tags and stuff like that, and there should be an app designed to be able to follow all of that stuff, which I laughed and said I actually follow a couple sharks on Twitter because I follow their tags on Twitter, which is kind of fun. But I thought about it, and I was like, there's got to be something out there, and there is. It's called OCEARCH, OCEARCH. OCEARCH is a data-centric organization built to help scientists record previously unattainable data in the ocean. Their mission is to accelerate the ocean's return to balance and abundance through fearless innovations in scientific research, education, outreach, and policy using unique collaborations of individuals and organizations in the U.S. and abroad. And there's a very fun video that really explains a lot more what they're about and that app right here.
OCEARCH is a data-centric organization. It's an enterprise we built to help scientists collect previously unobtainable data in the ocean to help move the system toward abundance. What we're simply trying to do is learn what's never been learned before at a rate that's never been achieved. And the only way to do that is to enable big collaborative teams. That's why we have many different scientists from many different institutions, all with different disciplines, maximizing the leap forward in knowledge on every single animal we touch, and integrated into a STEM educational curriculum. It's about total inclusion at every level. Exploration in the now, science in the now, education in the now.
So cool, and you can go to osearch.org or download the app on your smartphone, and it's pretty fun to play with. OCEARCH conducts research expeditions aboard the MV OCEARCH, which basically serves as its at-sea laboratory. The MV OCEARCH contains a 75,000-pound capacity hydraulic platform designed to safely lift marine animals out of the ocean for access by a multidisciplined research team. Animals are caught from tenders using hand lines and are guided by hand in the water on and off the lift. The animals are then brought to the submerged platform of the MV OCEARCH vessel, and the platform is then raised. Once the animals are restrained and hoses of waters have been set to enable a continuous flow of fresh seawater over their gills, the science team, made up of researchers and veterinarians, begins its process. Tags such as the spot tag, acoustic tags, accelerometers, and more are attached and recorded. And then samples such as blood and tissue are collected. OSearch has carefully crafted its procedures to minimize stress and risk to the sharks and other animals during research expeditions. From the capture to the release, the tagging, handling, and sampling procedures follow established protocols by Institutional Animal Care and Use Committees, or IACUC, of participating institutions. So I wanted to take a second and just walk you through the site. This is the actual site, not the app, but you can download the app, and it's really cool. So right now it's set up on sharks, and these are all the sharks on the eastern seaboard, and some turtles you can see there. It's really cool. You can zoom in, manipulate it around, and as you can see, where I am off the coast of New York and Connecticut and Massachusetts, there's a shark right here named Pico, and you can click on Pico if you'd like, and it brings you up where its first ping was, March 27th, 2018, and how much it's traveled so many times down to Mexico and back up to off the coast of New York here. You can view its travel log over here by month, by week, by year, specific dates. It's a adult male, 181-pound mako shark, 7 foot 5 inches, and there's a photo of Pico right here. It's really cool to be able to see that, track it. You can favorite your favorite animals. You can close that track and see more stuff. As you can see, there's a whale over here. Gale the whale is a pilot whale off the coast of North Carolina right now, who is a subadult, a pilot whale, female, 10 feet, 745 pounds. You can see over the last year, this whale has been tracked going from Florida and up to Virginia. And that's what's so cool about something like this site. You can check out all of their programs, which include their science programs and their educational programs, watch videos and interactive maps like of sharks, of the different tags that they put on the sharks, and the different expeditions that they've done. It's really, really cool. And on top of this is a completely nonprofit organization. So, of course, if this is something that you really like, you can donate to this as well and not only help out OSearch, but also their STEM learning program as well, which is really, really cool. So, again, if you're interested, I definitely recommend checking out osearch.org. or downloading the app. And if you have kids out there or you're a teacher, look into some of the STEM programs because all kids can get involved, and it's really cool. Again, when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be a marine biologist. First, I wanted to be a paleontologist. Then I wanted to be a marine biologist. Neither of those came to fruition because there was way too much math and science involved. But it's really, really interesting for the next generation and also this generation because they're working very hard to learn more about these animals and how they interact with the ocean and how we also interact with the ocean, and hopefully not only make the ocean a better, more sustainable place, but therefore the Earth as well.